And welcome back, everyone. I'm actually going to do an intro on this one because I always forget to do this midway through. So, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Because even though you haven't even looked at the video to see if you like it or not, you should do it anyway. Because apparently that's what works best.
Just lie. You don't even know whether you just make it up.
Because that's what YouTube tells us to do. Because if I tell you at the end, you won't make it to the end. So I have to tell you at the beginning to do it, so it's in your head. Also, comment. We like comments. Even if it's asking us to make out with each other. Or to call me fat. That was another one that somebody... I was like, yeah. Have you not watched any of our other podcasts? I'm pretty open about that.
Wait, one of the comments was like, man, this dude is fat?
It was, it was like, oh, this guy with the 64 subs is talking. Maybe if you'd walk instead of going to KFC, you wouldn't be so fat. And I was like, thanks. That really added to
had KFC.
Yeah, years. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, right. Like,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I was like, yeah. The thing is, I know he's never watched any of the other podcasts. He would know that I'm like, yes, I'm trying to lose weight, and fat is not healthy. Fat is not beautiful, and I am fat. But it's like I don't even know what he was commenting. I can't even tell what topic he was commenting on because his comment it's like it doesn't matter, right? Like there's nothing about what he said related to any topic in the video. So I was like, well, I'm sorry, sir, that you're sad. I don't know.
Woe is me for having put my disgusting form before thee.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'll wait the years that it'll take. Well, I don't know. Hopefully it won't take years. If I get serious, it won't take years. Yeah. If I eat protein waffles and eggs, give me 4 months.
Has a limit.
Yeah. Hold on. Terms of service. There we go. All right. First. But anyway, yes. I was trying to think. I've told people to do everything. Also, I stream on Twitch as PhD Oren. Do you have anything you want to push, Placebo?
I don't do anything, man.
Orlando, Florida firefighters. Let's go. Support them.
Hire me.
Yeah, hire him.
I'm on the market.
We're on every possible social media. Some are PhD Oren, some are Preacher Oren, because I didn't change like the Instagram because it's been Preacher Oren for so long. Anyway.
And Wednesdays we play D&D.
And Wednesdays we do play D&D.
This YouTube channel.
I heard it went pretty well. Yes, and that's exactly what I'm going to do once we get done recording this.
Absolutely.
I'm going to download that video and then make sure that it's cleaned up so that YouTube doesn't, because I think at the very beginning I did play some copyrighted music because it was just a stream. But yeah, I'll just cut that part out. I mean, it wasn't like during the game. It was like during the intro or whatever. I'll cut that out. And then we'll throw up our fantastic, well, it's actually not D&D. It is a tabletop RPG that is home-brewed from the brilliant mind of my compadre over here, Placebo. Hunter Johnson is the real name, in case he puts that as his, when he publishes his tabletop RPG book, I don't know, I doubt he'll use his online gaming synonym. Maybe that's how you could do it. You could do it. That's your what is it? Writer name or whatever. What is that called? Pen name.
Yeah, pen name.
But yeah, so I'll be starting to put that up in a different like a folder or file. What is that on YouTube?
Playlist.
Playlist. I'll put it on a different playlist under the channel, and you can watch me and one of our friends. You guys have seen him, Kens. He snuck in here at the end of one of our. He accidentally came into one of our podcasts, so you know who he is. Okay, now all the announcements have been made. Now it's time for tithe, so everybody come to get please, Judy, if you would do the kitty cat. Hello, kitty cat.
Excited.
Ooh, podcast is going to be kitty cat podcast. But anyway, now that we've done all that, we can now go to actual podcast topics.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
We'll start off a little light, but I thought this was very interesting and a great contrast in thinking between big, massive video game companies and some of these indie companies, and why I think big, massive indie video game companies are failing and crashing and burning right now, and why indie games are not crashing and burning, and they're doing quite well. So, there are two unrelated indie games. Both of them were named Piece by Piece, and they launched on Steam just one day apart.
Okay.
Instead of conflict and fighting and lawsuits, the teams turned the coincidence into a collaboration and decided to release a combined piece-by-piece double bundle that offers both games at a 10% discount. And I think that is absolutely brilliant. That's how you handle this kind of stuff. Like, I was thinking about how, like, Nintendo just, like, sues, they sued the snot out of Power World.
Yeah.
And that just made people hate Nintendo. It's like, and nobody was.
Now they're suing the United States for their Switch 2 sales.
Mm-hmm. It's like, these big corporations just haven't figured it out. They just be decent, and people will like you.
It's an attempt to smother the competition.
Yeah, rather than beat it.
Sort of.
Yes.
Precisely. Yes. Which is not good for the consumers at all, and is in fact quite bad for everyone except the people at the top of Nintendo.
You know what is interesting, Placebos? I didn't put this into my podcast bookmarks, but another post talked about how that's why all these AAA companies were really angry at BG3.
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate. My brain went to Battlegrounds, and I couldn't get it out. But good. Baldur's Gate 3, because they made such a fantastic, well-made game. And what it means is that their slop, that they've been lazy and kind of just thrown out, they were trying to almost shift the gaming Overton window to where people would just accept slop. And BG3 kind of said, nope, people can still make good games, and you should expect good games. They're well made and function the way they're supposed to. And I think that's because it was from a former like a person who was in the industry, and he was like, yeah, that's why everybody was mad. It was because basically the people who are doing the work have gotten lazy. They
I have no doubt.
And they don't want to put the work in, or the money. It's also a financial thing. They don't want to put the investment in. They don't whatever. They don't want to have to make a good game. It's too hard. So and I do think there's been some recent hiring like you're seeing all the the people who were like, it's interesting, all the people responsible for the games that we loved, like Skyrim or whatever, for all these big companies, have almost been pushed out of those companies. And there's been these different group of people that now work for those companies, and everybody's thinking about the companies based off of the past experience, but it's a different group of people. And so the hardworking, really talented people who can actually put out a good game, they're no longer there, right? They're gone. They basically started their own studio or doing whatever. Whereas now it's just like a new set of people who are not
lazy and they don't care about the original product because they weren't on the team that was pushing the original product, and they
just want credit for
this idea. This I keep getting recommended on my phone because every morning I scroll through the RSS feed for like 10 minutes. I keep getting recommended some interview that apparently Jeff Kaplan from the original Overwatch team gave. I don't know if you've seen it, where he's like,
he left because I did.
He left because they were like pushing money, and what was it? The Overwatch League that was coming out, the professional scene, and then they were selling the moon to these people, and then they couldn't make the money to pay back the people that were investing. And then now we need tons of microtransactions, and then we get Overwatch 2, and of course, like from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2 was the greatest like fail of all time, right? It completely fell apart. And he was explaining like, I think a lot of it was that push to money, and I got out of it at that point. A lot of us got out of it at that point, and what do you know, the game kind of fell apart.
It's people who are too. I think this is the case in a lot of industries, including streaming, podcasting. People get too focused on how do I generate money rather than how do I create a good product, and then the good product will generate money. And to be happy with positive income, I mean, I get not wanting to lose money. You can't lose money, but it's like how much profit? You know what I mean? Like there's a point where it's like, hey man, we're making $1 billion a year. That's good. But these big corporations are like, oh, well then next year we should be making $2 billion. there's always this weird mentality of like just keep pushing, figuring it. It's like sometimes there's not. No, it's like no, you're just gonna make $1 billion in profit every year. Let it burn. That's great. That's fantastic. Keep the flow, and they're shooting themselves in the foot. But anyway, I'm
inclined to agree.
I just thought that was really interesting how it showed a mentality, and I do think like if that, especially artistic industries like music, movies, TV, that kind of stuff, and then I would throw video games in there as well.
I would too.
When there is a shift to just generate money, it almost always kills it and ends up losing them money. If they would just stay true to like trying to create the best product possible, they would have been fine. I think Hollywood's done the same thing. They shifted so hard that
it's a focus shift. Yeah. Like from really truly caring about the product or what we're doing or having fun with it, right? Like if you change from that to the money, then everything falls apart.
I wonder if
it's
really
give a shit.
Me and you've talked about empathy and stuff like that. I wonder if it's also a shift from caring about how the audience enjoys and interacts with the product, as opposed to, because I think some of them do care about their product, but they care about it in the sense of they're pushing their agenda or they're doing like.
See, I think of it like they're trying to project that they have respect for the views of the audience, but they don't have the appropriate level of paternalism to appropriately go about it. I think about movies that have like cameos in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like the like team up moments, and everyone's like, oh, wouldn't this be cool if this happened? Wouldn't this be cool if that happened, right? And it's like if you throw too much of that fanfare in, the whole thing, you start to lose the audience a little bit, right? You can have little nuggets of stuff in there, but if you throw too much, and I think a lot of the companies are just throwing everything at it and just saying this is what the people want, when the people don't know what they want. That's always been my statement. The people do not know what they want. They don't know what's good for them, and it's up to the companies to actually be a bit paternalistic.
They'll tell you what they want, and then you give it to them, and they're like, we didn't want this. This is horrible.
Well, I mean, I just think of like, if you watch a Twitch, like they think they want to see certain things, but 5 minutes into actually seeing that thing, they will leave and go do something else because they're bored. And it's like, okay, well, like it's all going to fall apart.
Yeah, I agree. I was letting you, since I talked so much, I was letting you talk. So
it's obvious. That's my claim.
Yes, and I agree. Here's another. This is a little thought experiment. I actually don't agree with the post, but it'll be a where do we draw the line here type of post. All right.
Okay.
And I am reading someone else. This is not my opinion. I am reading another person's Twitter post, and that's what we're doing. I just want that on record. I am reading someone else's Twitter post. Lowly, incest, furry, and other taboo fictional tags get censored. People celebrate censorship. The company that started censoring content eventually censors non-taboo content. People that were celebrating taboo tags getting censored are now upset with censorship because it's content they like. If you can't stand up for fictional content you dislike, then you have no right to be upset if your stuff gets censored. Go back to kissing that boot on your throat. That is obviously a logical flaw here, right? Because that's like, say, I mean, you can't say if you don't like crime of some sort, then you can't complain when the police arrest you for not committing crime. Does that make sense? Like, there is a difference, because I do agree with, because this free speech gets into this, right? Where you get into like, oh, you can't say I disagree with this or I'm of this political party. That's not free speech, right? And then they try to use free speech to actually crack down on real, true free speech. I don't believe in hate. I like whatever words, just ignore it. But that's speech. I think you start to get different when you start actually projecting criminal behavior. Does that make like, I think that's
it's an appeal to a slippery slope, right? And it's tough because like they say the slippery slope is a fallacy. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, right? If you're
Right.
like, well, this person over here is gay, so well, what's going to happen is the world is going to be entirely gay eventually, and then we're not going to have kids, and we're all going to die, right? That is, of course, like a ridiculous slippery
Yeah.
slope that is never going to happen. It's silly. It's comical to even say. But there are other slippery slopes, like, oh well, this guy, he smokes marijuana every once in a while. Oh, or this guy, he drinks alcohol every once in a while, and then, well, maybe he'll drink a bit more. Hey, he's been drinking a bit more. He's been smoking a bit more. And now, hey, his whole life revolves around marijuana or alcohol. That does happen,
Yeah.
right? Like that is a legitimate slippery slope that you have to be careful with, right? So the only question is for this one, is what they are identifying like a true slippery slope, or is it a ridiculous one? And I appeal to the obviousnness of it's ridiculous to say that not enjoying, like, God, what were they,
Well,
furry
okay, so
porn?
there is a part that he's very clear in other posts that it's fictional content. So not like real porn or with real people. It's like basically he's big into anime stuff. Okay, and that's his shtick. And so, but he's talking about writing in books, anime, and it is lolly, which is underage.
Oh, that's where they look like they're like
They either
5 and
are
cute
underage or they look
dolls,
underage.
right?
It's just it doesn't even have to be 5. It could be 12 or whatever. But they look underage. They visibly are underaged. Incest.
Yeah.
Furry, which is banging animals basically. So we'll say what's that called? Bestiality. Bestiality.
Bestiality, yeah.
And then he just says other taboo fictional tags.
Yeah.
His. And I was like, I don't think
not exactly
that's
the same as like some BDSM or something.
I think there's something else there. Like he's also combining things that aren't. It's almost like saying, no, I'm okay with people cussing. And they're like, oh, so you think that thinking someone cussing on Twitter is, but you're not fine with them selling children over the internet. And it's like, what? No, that's not the same thing. It's like, just because I am against censorship in this area, that doesn't mean I want crime to occur or something that could be like genuinely harmful.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's like it appeals to, I don't want the stupid people in the world to see it and think it's okay. Like,
yeah.
That's really the thing. Because it is fictional writing, right? And
Yeah.
I can acknowledge that it's fictional. It's not going. One, I'm concerned about the people that get something out of that, right? Like maybe it tells you something about a person that, like,
Yeah.
maybe we should have a discussion with that person about. So I don't know, maybe if it's like a good, like, I don't know, therapy tool or something, you can diagnose a problem with, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe.
But,
yeah.
I think it's different in kind to have some like horrible stuff like that versus some perhaps more tame.
Yeah, it was just a weird. I can sense that there was something wrong with it, and I was like, let me put it out there and let placebo work through it with me, because I could feel that there was something wrong with that statement. It was not logically
I think it's
sound.
A slippery slope that doesn't work.
Okay.
I think it's just. I think at its core, that is the logical issue: is that it's a slippery slope that doesn't check out.
Gotcha. That's fair. Appreciate the clarity. Here's. I don't want to say that. I was going to say something, but we don't. I have to be cautious when I do my things. That'll be one I talk to you about off stream. I did this one before, but I just think it's a funny one, so I'll a post that someone made, which was Jesus spent his time among the mentally ill, the poor, and unemployed, the prostitutes. So, in a way, by being on Twitter, we're like Jesus. And I thought that was fantastic. And I just wanted to giggle at it and let everybody else also experience that with me, because I think it's pretty funny and somewhat accurate. Okay, this is a good one. I got a good one for you.
All right, hit me.
So this guy, I mean, actually, I'll say his name because he's pretty famous. Tectone, right? He puts this list of like things he believes in. I'm not going to list them all, but and it was basically like it was kind of his like he's filtering his followers, right? So he's like, these are things I believe in, and he knows if he says this, people will unfollow.
Yeah, he's trying to like cultivate an audience of a certain
Yes,
nature.
says plenty of things, most of which I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, I'm good. But here's one that I thought was particularly interesting, not just because I'm fat. I just think logically, I don't know if it's sound. And though I do understand where he's coming from, and I kind of get it. No one should trust fat people. I can look at you and immediately tell you don't make good decisions. I thought, okay, I get what he's saying. There is a bit of, I don't know that it's based off of mental though, right? Like I think a lack of self control is not making good decisions. I think people know. It's kind of like people who know that they're doing the wrong thing. So if you ask them their advice, they would say, "No, don't do what I'm doing. This is bad." Mm-hmm. But they're unable to stop it because pleasure centers in the brain, right? Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. And also, I just think there's evidence of there being fat people who are highly successful at something, or they did something great, scientific, whatever, right? And so I don't know.
I think Warren Buffett was not underweight. I think he was a bit husky himself,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And if he gave me investing advice, I think I might follow it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if he told me how to diet, maybe he doesn't know about that, but like, if he gave me investing advice, I think it'd be pretty good, you know.
And that's what I think that is there was something there that I was like, that's just a broad. You're being too broad with it. Like you said, maybe don't trust them on if they're trying to tell you how to do a lift or something. But
I think that he's perhaps on to something, but oblique to it. I think he's not quite going around it, going to it the right way. Because I've always, it's like there's a line from Breaking Bad that I remember, and it was one of the best parts of it, I thought. So Walter White is meeting Gus Fring. You ever see Breaking Bad?
I did, but I don't remember it. It was such a blur.
So
I was just watching because people told me to.
He was like this hiding in plain sight, like black businessman, very sophisticated, well put together, the owner of the chicken place that had this meth empire. Mm-hmm. And Walter White wanted to work with him and scheduled a meeting to talk about it. And Gus never went over to talk to him at the meeting. He like identified and he just never went over. And so Walter said, "I would like to know why you didn't want to speak to me." And Gus says, "Well, you associate with Jesse over here, this other person who is a drug addict. You view him as your partner." And Walter White says, "No, he's just the help. I'm in charge of the operation." And Gus says, "No. You trust him, and you can never trust a drug addict, right?" And then he harps on that for you cannot trust a drug addict. And I think that is the proper way to say what Tectone is trying to get at. I think that there are some people whose minds are not in their control, and when they lose control, how can you trust someone that does not have control? It's not them that you would be trusting. It would be something else, right? Like when insecurity drives people to do things, right? I think that is another place where this happens. Someone who is insecure becomes not in control of themselves and does stupid shit that they don't want, that they wouldn't want to if they were thinking more clearly. And so you cannot trust them because they are not in control at that time. They're not driving the ship. That's my
and that's why I said I kind of I partially, that's why I said I have a hard time because I partially agree with them in that sense that like I would not maybe trust them with, I don't know, because I'm trying to think. I mean, there's fat people who are good babysitters. And you'd be like, oh, you wouldn't want to trust them with your children, but they make good decisions there. It's like, I don't know.
When they are in control. I think
it's like when do you know that? Yes, I think it has to be situational. Like, I think you need to find out, like, for instance, a drug addict could not be trusted around a drug empire because that's, so I would agree. If you're talking about food or something along those lines, you can't, but I don't know that you couldn't trust, like you said, a fat person with your finances. They may, because that doesn't affect, that's not where their lack of control exists. In other words,
exactly. I would much sooner trust a fat person with all aspects of life than an insecure person with all aspects of life. The insecure person, I think, is way, way less in control in way more situations than a fat person or someone like that, right? I think I'm 99% sure it's the control element that
you're probably right. I think you're right. I think that's where it was, and that's what, I guess his was too general. Like if you said, I don't trust fat people with dietary whatever, but it's like it's saying just because you're bad at this one section, that means every other element of your life equally shares that same problem. And I was like, I don't think that I think you can find plenty of proof that that's not the case. You know,
like I'm pretty sure that if I was like dying on the floor and the only way to like get me to live was for you to drive down from Tennessee to Florida and help me, I'm pretty sure I would trust you to do that.
Yeah, I'd drive. Yep.
It might not be a fun trip. You might shit yourself on the way here.
But yeah, I would still make it. Yeah.
I do trust that you would do it.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I don't think you can say, oh, this person's clearly like out of shape and therefore they can't.
Every element of their life is uncontrolled. Yeah. I guess that's what I wish he would have put a little more clarity in on it. Yeah, that's probably it. And I think I found that people do that a lot on social media, right? Like they make an almost good point, but it's too general.
Yeah.
It's what I almost think of as like is being shallow. It's easier to make a general statement. It's just fun to toss it out, right? Like, oh, I feel this. Here's a broad statement, and then I'm going to move on, as opposed to finding the detailed like thing that makes it actually a true statement, as opposed to a easy statement.
It's because social media to some degree, and in fact, all communication is like it's both a science and an art, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the artistic element, is trying to take like, you know, what's the quote about poetry? Poetry is taking new things and making them feel old, and old things and make it, there's something like that, right?
Yeah.
You take small things, make them big, and that's how you sort of understand them more. You intricately get into all the nitty gritty and the details, and then the artistic element is taking all of that and trying to condense it to some degree.
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
But it's not like you can be like, this is an artistic post, right? This is so on. It's not even a claim.
I was just thinking, I mean,
the scientific one.
You know, there's some level of dedication and responsibility that would be taken just to get to finish a PhD program. Like it's even if you want to use me, I may not do a great job of choosing not to eat pizza, but by God, I'll get that homework done. Okay, I have one for you, Placebo, and I'm actually going to pop this up real quick, and I'm going to show you. Just because you have to see it, it's a visual thing. And I might describe it. I'm going to describe it to people now, and then I'll let you see it. Sound good? It is a quick video where the person, there's like a let's say the manager of a restaurant, and he's teaching someone how to use an industrial can opener, okay? Let me pop this up. You should be able to see it fine. I hope, but then I'm going to click over here. Boy. This big. And so they're not going to be able to see it, and that's fine, because I'll explain it in full once I just wanted you to see it so you would understand it.
Okay, you see that? You see that? You put this up, you slam really hard. Slam really hard. Now turn it. No, set this down. Now turn it. No, like turn it. Like the whole thing. Like this.
Now, I have feelings on this.
Do you?
Everybody's trying to blame it on something. I think the teacher, the manager, is at fault. I think
he said turn it. He did not clarify.
He did not clarify. He's like, okay, here, slam it down. Now turn it. I was like, that's horrible instructions. Because there's a way to turn it, right? He didn't say, okay, here's what you should have said. Okay, now you slam it down, then you push the lever down, and then you turn the whole lever counterclockwise, or clockwise. Yeah. It was actually clockwise. That, she probably would have been, oh, okay, got it. But instead he said, slam it down, now turn it. No, now turn it. Well, here. And then he did it. Now turn it. And it's still, no, turn the whole thing. He still didn't tell her the direct, like the whole time. That was him being a bad manager and a bad instructor. And I see this a lot of people who are just trash at communication, and then they think the person that they're trying to instruct and communicate to, they're stupid. And everybody's like, oh, this girl. I mean, most of the comments are like, this dumb girl. And I'm like, I'm not sure. I wouldn't, if I have never done something and there was a mechanism to turn and someone all the instruction was turn it. I don't know that I would have gotten it all right off the bat. I mean, it's like
I don't think I would have. I wouldn't have pushed it down.
Yeah.
I would have been like,
trying to. That's what I was saying. Trying to do something. And so I wonder why that is, because there's a lot of that, and especially leadership positions, but people who like do a horrible job of communicating, and then blame the listener for the not following bad instructions.
If you had to guess what was lacking there that would have solved the problem, can you venture a guess? I have a claim that one little thing could have solved the whole communication issue, and is in fact, I think, the basis of 90% of good communication. It was absent there. I think it's absent in a lot of these things that you're highlighting.
One thing, no, I'd rather you just, because I'm honest, I'm not even sure where you're aiming.
I think it's empathy. I think empathy is the thing that would have immediately fixed it. An understanding of what the person is thinking in the moment, right? Put yourself in their shoes. They've come in, they don't know what they're doing. Try to figure out what they're feeling, what they're thinking, and if you were coming in new, what mistakes would you make? What problems would you run into? And how do you? I think that's 99% of the battle.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's thinking about what because I do think some people think mistakes and they go, "Oh, I've never made that mistake," or "Oh, I understood this immediately."
Yeah,
well, because I do think some people understand things immediately, and they're not able to go, "Oh, but this person maybe their brain thinks of it in a different." They've had different experiences.
No empathy that would have gotten me to, like, when she started spinning the little knob, that would not have been a mistake I would have made, right? I didn't think that was going to be the end result of it. But
see, I did, because if you get those homemade, the like small ones for your kitchen, where you clamp down, and what do? You just go.
You twist.
You twist, and that's basically what you. So I think she was thinking, oh, there must be a mechanism where I twist this like I do at home, and it just spins it around. So that's actually what I was thinking.
Says, I wouldn't have thought, but that makes sense. I do understand where you're coming from.
But here's the thing: you would have seen that and like, oh. No, let me give more advice. Well, I do think there's just like describe something totally semi-accurately.
Anyway, right? I would have been like, all right, here, I'm going to do this one. You're going to watch.
That's probably the smart thing, right? Yes. So,
and then here, I've done half of it. Why don't you crank like I was cranking and then open the rest of it? All right, cool. Next one, we'll have you do from the get-go, and you'll make some mistakes, and then we'll sort it out. That's how I would have done.
I was very like taken aback by how bad the description was, though, because I know that when I describe what I'm doing, I'm like, let me give you in detail what we're doing here, so that like, okay, take it, push the lever down, because I do think pushing the lever down, that would have been immediately in my head, like, and then turn this direction, like I may have not said clockwise, but I would have said like turn this direction. I would have like given a direction. That way, I knew that because you can turn either direction. It's not like turn. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I feel like some of those instructions were like, I don't even think I would have messed up that way. Like, I would have messed up a different way maybe, but it wouldn't have been not giving decent. Anyway, it just frustrated me because I was like, man, how much of our failures are just bad communication? Because we have friends. Me and you both have friends who
cannot communicate.
And this is the kind of thing.
If their life depended on it, if they needed it to live another day, they would be dead that evening.
Yeah. It's just like they can't do it. And it's weird. I don't know. Oh, this is pretty funny. Because I think this takes both sides of this. And it does get to kind of the core of the social media experience. I'm going to read a social media post, and then you can just react to it. I am glad that everyone is 100% sure that the war in Iran is the end of the world / a genius move / the end of American empire / the beginning of a new age of American greatness / insert other opinion here. But could you just acknowledge for a moment that you don't actually know that how this is going to go, because no one does. It's a gamble, which could go either way, and all I see is people doing the usual, here's my baseless opinion, expressed with 100% metaphysical certitude, followed by the typical I hope I'm wrong disclaimer, which allows them to simultaneously harvest the clicks of people who wanted to have their I probably shouldn't say that, their special opinion reflected back at them, while having plausible deniability for when that special opinion turns out to have been completely wrong. The coin is in the air, and we don't know how it's going to land. But the internet is full of people screaming, it's going to be heads, arguing with people screaming, it's going to be tails. And I thought, man, that is spot on.
It's a great summary. Yeah. Jumping to conclusions, the self-fellatiation, yeah.
And just like
the echo chambers being built, and the complete worsening of us as a people.
Yeah. And it's like, I do get heavily annoyed when people say, oh, you know. Because we've talked about this. This is a big part of the conspiracy theory thing. But it's, I mean, people just do it outside of that too. But it's like, oh, you know what this means. Or you do know. Or you know. And it's like, no, we don't. I mean, there was a video we were watching that I talked to you about that. I won't explain the whole video, but basically people were acting as if they had 100% knowledge of everything that happened in that environment when all they could see was what was within the frame of the camera. And so things could be happening over here, behind the camera. All kinds of stuff could have been happening that would have impacted what was happening on the camera. But they're like, oh, we didn't see this one thing happen on the camera. We know it didn't happen. And it's like, no, you don't. What is it?
They go, oh, well, you know this, or you are aware of this, right? That all that is an attempt to control insecure people and get your view into their head.
Yeah.
Because if you are insecure and you feel because there's a bit of pressure placed on you when they go, well, you know, or you do know, right?
You're not a dumb person, though. You're not an ignorant person.
You feel this like from above, like, are you coming up or are you staying down there, right?
Yeah.
And you got to be pretty solid to say, no, I don't think you're actually up there.
That's an interesting point. Yeah. It's like you have to. I think that's a developed skill to be like. You process and go, no, I think you're putting yourself up there, but you're not up. I'm going to directly confront your initial position and understand what is actually being said with that argument, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, after teaching high school for 2 years, it's a social like hierarchy game, right? That phrase, right? Well, you do know, right? Well, you are aware of this, right? And then it's obvious this, right? All it is the hierarchy gameplay. And unfortunately, it exists even outside of the high school sphere.
Yeah. For grown adults on social media.
For grown-ass men.
What do you think does this thing, because we've talked about this before too, but what do you think forces people, or not forces, that's the wrong word, causes people to feel like they need to have, like if they have an opinion or if they have a piece of information, it has to be like 100% assuredness in it. And it has to be like they have to be correct. Basically, they can't even come at it like, well, it seems to be like this. I'm not 100% sure. This is just how it's striking me. That doesn't, like, it's almost, people won't do that. They have to be like, oh, this is definitely this, and then let's all draw conclusions, B, C, D, E, F, G, all from this one, and this has to be 100% true. And I couldn't be wrong. Like, that's the other thing, right? When if they get disproven, they either just ignore it and wash it from their minds as if, like, so they can continue to believe whatever their initial. And there's a rush. That's the other part. There's a rush to get to a conclusion, right? It's like, I don't know. I'm going to wait and see how this pans out. That's not allowed anymore, right? You have to have an immediate, solidified opinion that is 100% one way or the other. What is doing that? What is causing that?
My opinion is that it is pride as a natural response to insecurity, right? Because there's two ways that you can deal with insecurity. You can actually like look internally, look in the mirror, reflect on your failures, burn through them, right? And develop yourself. Or you can take the route of stubborn refusal to do so and push, and force. And I think that leads to pride. And then any affront to your opinions becomes an affront to you because you've put up those opinions as like a shield.
Yes.
Right. And so I think it's identity focused. So if you are attacking their opinions, you are then threatening their identity. And what's worse is if that shield goes away, then you get to see the ugly nature that they haven't actually done the work to fix
Yeah.
that, right? And they want to conceal that, they want to hide that. That's my opinion about
I
it.
agree.
Especially, and as more time goes on, right? Like, let's say you take that reflective look when you're 16, right? You probably have like 75, 80 years to go where you get to live as a better person than you were before. But the more time goes on, I think people generally have in the back of their mind this deep-seated understanding that they haven't done that work. And so if they were to do it at 40 or 50 or 60, it's like, in for a penny, in for a pound. At this point, I've committed to my strategy.
Yeah.
And it's sunk cost at that point. So it's just the way it goes. I think that's largely why you see when they say old people are stuck in their ways, right? I think it's rare that you find people that are old with the same level of, like, I think it's a curiosity that solves the issues, right? Like a genuine curiosity to understand things. That then breeds humility, because the curiosity, when you I guess it's sort of a self-fulfilling cycle. When you are curious, you acknowledge, I don't know things, because if you thought you knew things, you wouldn't be curious. And then when you learn things, there's more now that you don't know, and there's more, and there's always another horizon.
I think I agree with you for the most part. I do think there's one other thing that leads to old and stubborn, as someone who is older and more stubborner. I do think there's also life experience where you were more malleable, and you have learned that is sometimes that can be used against you, or it can be used against society, or you've given people the benefit of the doubt only for them to abuse it. And if you didn't, it would have turned out better had you were right and you should have stayed. And so I do think there's a bit of that too, where you've like, I've heard this argument before. Because that's also, right, you have more experience. You've heard it. I've heard this argument 1,000 times. It'll go here, 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 here. And then we get down here. And I don't want to take the 5 months of arguing with you online to get to this point down here where I go, nope, this is clearly not proof. And here's this. And you go, nuh-uh, it is. And then we both go our separate ways. Right? So I do think there is a bit of that where it's like, you just get worn down by doing it so many times that you're like, I ain't got time for this. There is a bit of that where it's like, I want to have a good conversation with you. I want to debate, but usually this turns out to be a waste.
A difference between stubbornness and like a conviction.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Okay. No, I agree with
like,
that. I agree with that.
In your example, you've developed a conviction because of what you have seen and what you know
Experience.
To be true.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a stubborn.
You're right. We're like,
to hear,
someone's like, there's 5 apples, and then someone walks over and they're like, 1, 2, 3, 4. No more apples. Yeah. It's 4 apples. Like, no, it's 5 apples. I know. I've been, it's like, yeah, you're right. There's a difference between being like, being on the other end of that and being like, okay, you know what? Yeah, sure, 5 apples and walking away. That's what, there is a difference. Yeah.
And I do think, as waves on rock, we get eroded over time, right? We get jaded, we get more cynical. I think that's very natural, and it takes a whole lot of effort to not do that. And I think that also compounds the issue as you get older, right? And you have less defensive ability. You can't hold the shield quite as high.
I think it's a mixture of what you're saying. It's 2 things. It's knowing that sometimes you should just hold or like, there is time you should just give up, and or like far as trying to win an argument, you just like, you realize sometimes this is not worth it, but also you do get worn down. So it might have been you might have been able to come to a truthful conclusion, right? But you just been there too many times. It's like at a certain point in time, you just go, well, in reality, maybe there's a little bit of broader understanding or perception of your place, and be like, it doesn't really matter. We're regular people. Neither one of us are like the president of the United States and a member of Congress. We're just arguing for the sake of arguing. We're not actually going to, like, this argument is not going to change the world one way or another, and so maybe there is a little bit just like,
and in fact, having it adds to the growing literature of our hatred for each other as a people. So, better to not anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's like I said, it's such an because to me, these are interesting ideas because they are complicated. They are multifaceted. There's a bunch of things that add into that to make it a thing, to make it a concept or an existent social existence. You know, it's fascinating because
The truth is always
Yeah.
nuanced, man. I mean, it is
I
like
agree.
a crystal with a ton of little things in it that you have to look into and you can see, but super, super complicated.
Yeah. And that's I find that fun though, right? Digging into it,
I agree.
getting into it. I know a lot of people don't, and that's a problem, right? I see that with streaming a lot. People don't like the more complicated, which I do. I like the.
Well, see, I don't think you would like it as much if you were doing it with someone else, but I think in
That's
and
fair.
among a community of people, or even just two, that actually are curious and like don't have a personal dog in the fight, right? Like, because
Right.
I find that's the big issue. When people have a personal dog in the fight, then they struggle to come to the right conclusions, and
And
it's
even
just
if
not fun to talk to them in the
Yeah.
same way.
I was like, because there's times where we've probably talked about some stuff that like that we feel one way, but I will say with you, I do tend to. I have seen, again, I guess experience. I've seen you handle. I see the way you think, and so I trust. Even if you come to, I trust the reason you come to the conclusion you come to. If that makes sense. There's other people that I don't. You know what I mean? Like there's other people that I think I know you don't question yourself enough for me to trust the validity of just blindly trust what you're saying. And I think can I share that a little bit? That we both kind of like. I know you've at least actually thought about it and tried to come to a conclusion, and it's just a matter of information or whatever. But and I've there's plenty of times like I throw it to you because I'm like, I'd like to see what you think of it. I know my thinking, but I know sometimes I miss things. So I would like to have you because I think you'll maybe catch something that I don't catch. But you're close enough that I'll know where you're coming from and I can like pull it over. Why? Someone asked a question, and I think this is interesting. Why is there only one association that can certify law schools? And they were saying because if that one organization, and I think some people are making the claim that it has, falls into the rut of being politically on one side of the fence or the other, it can have major implications on future lawyers, judges, etc., and pushing a certain. And it's like, I wonder why because we do this with the government a lot. There is like, this is the one organization that will say yay or nay and give you a thumbs up, and it's like, without having counter organizations or it just feels like it's too easy to fall victim to the level of power it has, becoming kind of corrupt. It's like having that counterbalance of just one other organization to kind of call you on your bull.
It would mitigate a lot of the risk. Right.
And I wonder why we do that so much.
I think a lot of those, like the agencies that certify places for things, I have a lot of issue with.
I agree.
I find there's a lot of money in there, and it's just it is very risky as a procedure generally. I think. It would not take much for that domino to tip over and then the whole thing to be bad. But I don't know what was the question that you were asking about, like why do we do what?
Well, it's like why have we on a kind of regular, why does our government basically set up to do that? Like they're not the only ones, right? There's like the FDA kind of does food, but they're the only one. And then there's the CDC kind of does like disease stuff. And like that was a big problem during COVID. There was one official voice, right? And they were getting it wrong. And they were getting paid and all that, but they were getting it wrong. And so it's like there's just not. Our government does this a lot. There's a thing, and that's the thing that gives the official voice instead of being like, because like if you think about the way you have the executive, judicial, and what's the House? Legislative. Thank you. I was my brain. I was like, House and Senate, Congress. What is that? Legislative. So you have the three, and they kind of counteract each other, right? Like we understood it there, but then when we started creating these organizations to like look over food or health or drug or whatever, then we're just like, oh, we only need one. It's fine. Let them have. And why did we make that shift? Why was that shift made?
Well, I think perhaps there is. So the high level officials in the executive branch can be impeached by the House, right? they can be taken out, and they have to be confirmed by the Senate, right? So there are some, there is some go-to. There are some like overlap, but I think in practice there is none, right? They don't do these things. They don't impeach these people. They don't decline the position that the president would offer, right? Like I want this person for this position. They don't say no. Um, I think is perhaps the issue, is that the responsibility is there, but it's not being used. I do wonder if perhaps the Supreme Court is just really like swamped with the amount of stuff going on. I thought maybe they could use just some more people or more help, or something like that. It might just not be enough to do the job
I don't think it's a
appropriately.
matter of people, because they all have to vote on it, right? Like they all have to make a decision. Like, in other words, they would have to have a whole second Supreme Court, basically. They would have,
but like they see less than like 0.5% of the cases that come to them.
Yes.
Right? They see like less than 0.5%. Do we not think maybe we could fix that in some, or at least help it? Right? Like let's
Yeah.
We're going to push this year to give them some resources or other people or something, a second Supreme Court to get to 2%, right? Like,
yeah. But then what do you do if the two Supreme Courts are battling each other? It's like,
no, it's fair.
It's
but
hard.
Maybe
yeah.
you just have the one for dealing with legislation and the one for sort of doing this impeachment stuff and
Yeah.
sort of looking at or not the oversight.
Oversight, yeah,
of
an
the
oversight.
other branches, right? You have another team that does that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to talk to somebody who knows a little more about how that works, because I'm sure there's because they're like there's always that talk about stuffing the court, right? Like whoever's in power, if they just go, oh, you're right, we don't have enough, we need 6 more people, but then they get to put those 6 people in. Well, it's going to be one side, they're going to put all their people in, so the Supreme Court becomes, it's like, so it's like, how do you do that with, that's the sad thing too, right? I think that the reality is our politics are now so biased and broken that you can't,
that really is the crux of it,
add anything, because they wouldn't be taking in citizens and what was good for the citizens into consideration. They'd just be doing what's good for their team.
Well, that's a huge issue, is that you look at the Supreme Court and you can literally point out Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. Like that should not be a thing, really. It really shouldn't.
Well, it used to be constitutional versus, the idea was like, if you were a constitutionalist and you thought these laws were here for a reason and we're going to actually abide by the letter of the law, and there was people who thought, well, no, we need to kind of tweak it for modern.
It was strict versus loose interpretation.
Yes.
Right? Like what does this law mean? Well, I favor a strict version of it or a loose version of it. But then over time, you get a president that's like, all right, we need to put someone in the Supreme Court. Am I going to put a neutral, impartial, capable judge, or am I going to put someone who is so far on my fucking wing of the party that I can just kind of do it? I'm going to put the person who's so far on my wing because I'm a selfish asshole who doesn't actually think long term.
What's funny is I think Trump failed that. Like, a lot of people were angry at him because the Amy Barrett went in and she's
Kavanaugh? When was Kavanaugh?
Kavanaugh was before her. No, she was. Yeah, I think he was early and Barrett was like later.
I know he went against something Trump wanted recently, and I was like, "You go, Brett."
No,
all right.
Amy does
I like
a lot.
That. Think
Amy does
yourself.
a lot. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think the problem is the other judges don't.
Right.
They are extremely like, you almost, that's the problem, right? Once you start, one side gets extreme, the other side has to be equally extreme to try to like find an equilibrium. Because if you have a bunch of neutrals and extremes, it's always just going to fall that, because it's like,
I get it. We've had this discussion
it's
I have
messed up.
with you, with my gym buddy all the time, because I'm really, really trying to figure out a way that the right thing to do is to remain
I agree.
like a paladin, right?
Yeah.
Neutral and don't get I really want that to be the case. That's the dog I have in the fight.
Yeah.
Is that I really want that to be the right outcome. And I'm trying to figure out how it can be.
Yeah.
It's not there yet.
Yeah. That is it's the problem is it's become too polar. Yeah, it is so polarized now that it is really hard to find the ability to be middle of the road, like,
Yeah.
and not have it just be your time, your thoughts, whatever get wasted one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's basically a ping pong match at this stage.
Yep.
Um,
It's one of those serious ping pong matches where the guy's like 10 feet back from the table, smacking it as hard as they can, and if you let go for, you got to fling it up to the ceiling, and yeah.
I want to show you this. Tell me what you think about this.
Oh, can't wait. Is it more Korean pop star? Oh, let me see.
What do you think of that building? What do you think of that building as being a library?
Zur the Oriker Pro Besign DN Gidord that word. What a Giorgio given to corn. Improve this great. What the heck is this? What is this?
This is the Obama library that they built. And I was like,
it's the presidential library.
Is that not one of the ugliest buildings that you've... I just think, because we were talking about how architecture has lost beauty. Like, society doesn't go for beauty anymore.
I mean, this is kind of hideous in my opinion.
This is, yeah, there's almost no windows, so I don't know where they're getting like sunlight from. It's like, it looks like almost a prison or like a CIA.
It does.
It just looks oppressive. Like the visual of it is oppressive. It's just this concrete block that's oddly shaped. It's not even pleasantly shaped. It's this weird, and it's like, I don't know. I was like, who designed this? And then who was like, yes, hundreds of millions of dollars, make it happen. No,
it looks horrible. Like, much better to just do like a nice farmhouse or something.
Yeah.
Right. Or even one of those like Chinese pagodas of some kind.
Yeah. Do something. Yeah. Something with a little
million different things.
I don't know why.
I don't even know where is Obama from. I don't know but like some sort of like house that you would naturally see in whatever state he was.
I think Hawaii was where the original. Maybe, I don't know. You know what? I don't know either. I haven't. I remember that was a big deal. Kenya, Kenya. No, I'm just playing. But
right, but like, you imagine like some sort of southern president. Well, you give them a nice like farmhouse or something. Make it a couple stories. It fits the vibe, right? This is just weird. I'm not.
I hate modern architecture, I guess is where I'm going with this. Because I feel like everything is like, they were showing, the McDonald's used to have the arch, but also that the roof tiles were like more curved, and they were red, and there was yellow, and it was like there's a lot of like artistic sweeps, and now they're just like, everyone is this brown, beige, it looks the same, it box, and it's like, why have we as a society, I mean, I don't think we have. I take that back. I think executives or whatever, I don't know if it's risk averse. I think that may be part of it. But I wonder if there's also just something in the idea of like wanting everyone to feel like they are part of a assembly line or something. Like they want it great. They want it all cookie cutter. Everything's the same. Nothing's ever gotten flair or... It's boring.
Maybe what I would highlight, because I don't know if I'm onto something with this, but this is my thoughts about it. Let's say you are the CFO of a company and tough times befall the company, right? You are not making as much money as you were. Things are getting more difficult. What would your strategy be in response to that? Anything come to mind as what you would do? What's the natural inclination that you have? There's no right or wrong answer.
What was the scenario one more time?
So you're the CFO of a company, you're financially in charge of it, and tough times have befallen you, right?
Yes.
You are making less money.
We got to figure out a way to get through.
Yes. So I find two general patterns that people take. One, they try to improve the product that they are making such that people will be willing to pay more money for it, and they can then get more income that way. But the more common route is, well, we need to tighten up, right, and do less, right, and charge the same, right? So charge the same amount, but find ways to cut costs.
Yes, right? It's like you see that in food, right? Like shrinking sizes. They're actually like less food, and a thing of Oreos now has less cookies than it did, or the Oreos are slightly smaller, and yeah.
And if you're building a house and you're like, well, normally we would need 24 boards of wood and 100 nails. Well, let's see if we can do it with only 80 nails. So we can, every 5 houses, we get like, that's a full set of
Yeah.
nails, right? But that then leads to the houses are not as sturdy as before.
I wonder
So
if
that
there's
is
also
my slight opinion about what's happening is as people, I think you've highlighted before, they view that they need a lot of things they don't, right?
yes.
Like I need 5 blenders, right? I need the most wonderful coffee machine for the most beautiful espresso, right? And I think that makes it seem like they need more money, right? And then when they don't have that money, then they start to, well, which are the two strategies? Do I improve the quality or
Yeah.
do I cut the costs? And I think it's much easier to cut the costs, or at least that's what people want.
No, well, I was gonna say I think it's also more psychologically when you're talking about business, people handle because they don't even really notice if you make slight reductions and changes. Because a lot of people didn't realize,
Exactly.
oh, the Twinkies are smaller or whatever, right? They don't even realize. But if you were like, oh well, to keep with the rates of whatever, we're gonna have to we're gonna make the cake a little bit more rich and more valuable, but we're gonna charge $1 more. They're like, can you believe Twinkies are $1 more? Oh my,
Yeah.
the dollar? Who's and people will like freak out about the price increase way more than they will about a decrease in. And so I do think it's almost like sure
So
you
what
could
makes
get a better
sense from a
product.
business
Yes.
perspective does not make it viable long term for us. It doesn't make things better for us.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's short term versus long term thinking. You're going, okay,
Exactly.
yes, short term people will react a certain way, but long term they're going to eventually figure it out and then buy less and not want as, or they won't want our services or our products as much. Boy, I was struggling with that sentence. But I do, yeah. It's also like a social thing because we've talked about this too. I think companies just don't think they no longer even care about the society in which they exist.
Right. It's just
And
money for the shareholders.
Yes. And so it's like, I mean, you're seeing Microsoft fired 15,000 employees that were citizens that lived wherever their home base was. And then they went out and hired 7,500 Indian workers that were cheaper. And they're not thinking societally. Now you have 15,000 people who don't have money, who are what you're trying to sell your product to get money out of them. That's going to have a major effect, and they're not going to have the money to buy your product. Eventually, that's going to whittle down. It's yes, you're saving money up front, but then long term, possibly your product gets worse actually, but also just there's going to be less money. The society in which you exist will be worse. And I agree. I think people just don't think. Like, no, me having a healthy, safe, and beneficial society is my responsibility and the responsibility of this. Like, everybody should take personal responsibility. If everybody took personal responsibility, we wouldn't need for everybody to correct everybody else, right? You could just be like, no, you deal with yours. As a matter of fact, I think the people who are most Karen-esque, right? People who are always the most involved in trying to tell everybody else. I mean, to the point where it's like, what are you even talking about? Like, why do you care? Like that, not people who call a spade a spade. Not people who are like, oh, you shouldn't punch that baby in the face. Stop that. But, people who are always overly involved in the details of other people's lives. I feel like they don't have their own lives in check a lot of the time. Like, it's almost like a mechanism to keep them from having to do their own thing. It's like if you shift the focus somewhere else.
I agree. I hearken back to they need the internal look in the mirror, right? And instead of that, we will put up the false
shield. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the loudest people on social media oftentimes they turn out. It's funny that like people who are yelling about any cause, half the time they're doing the thing that they're yelling about themselves. Yeah. And you're just like, I see. And I do think that happens a lot. The people who are the loudest complainers are, in fact, the least controlled and effective and self-reflective themselves. Again, because self-reflection is hard, right? It's way easier just to be like, hey, everybody look over there and don't bother with me. Hey, everybody, go over there. Get worried about that person, and not be, because
I agree.
That's an easier path. So our lesson for today is please look internally and see what you can fix about yourself. Legitimately, because I think that's what we do.
We want the best life for everybody, and
Yes.
the best path to that is through self-reflection.
Yes, self-reflection.
Honest self-reflection.
Yep. Honest, yes, honest self-reflection. Yep. So that is your homework for this week, children. Since it's academic suspension with Dr. Littleford, your homework is to have some honest self-reflection and figure out we should be growing, though. That's a good we should grow throughout our life. We should still change. Even when you're old, you should still be adapting a little bit, adjusting, changing, growing, and getting better. And so figure out, don't try to pretend that you're perfect now. That's a horrible idea. That'll only lead to everybody being miserable around you and you being miserable too. Figure out something you can tweak and fix. That'd be healthy. That's a good exercise.
And far better to root your personality in curiosity and the search rather than what you already have.
Yes.
And pride.
Agreed. And then we will come back either next week or in 2 weeks, because it seems like I have better luck coming up with decent topics about every 2 weeks than I do every week. Unless sometimes we get a hot week and I'm like, ooh, we gotta talk. But appreciate it, everybody. Come back, please comment. Love you, kiss 'em. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.